Hello and welcome to Data Speaks. I'm Chris Gately, Chief Revenue Officer at Paradigm Technology, also your host for today and moderator for today's call. Very excited to talk today about AI and search-driven analytics, really how AI and search-driven analytics can enable business intelligence, whether that be supply chain optimization, financial insights, or customer personalization. Recently Gartner put out their 2021 top 10 data and analytics trends. One of those key ones was the rise of the augmented customer. Really, traditionally business users, as they say, were restricted to predefined dashboards and manual data exploration. Often this meant that data and analytics dashboards were restricted to data scientists or citizen data scientists exploring predefined questions, not ad hoc ones, not creative ones. However, Gartner believes that moving forward, these dashboards will be replaced with automated, conventional, conversational, mobile, and dynamically generated insights, customized to a user's and needs and delivered to their point of consumption. This shifts the insight knowledge from a handful of data experts to everyone in the organization. And that's really what we're going to talk about here today. I've got two industry experts with me that I'm very excited to see their thoughts on this. The first one is Michael Sedekassi, and the other one is Azmath Pasha. Michael, Azmath, do you want to take a minute to introduce yourselves? Michael, you're on mute.
Thanks for that. So Mike Sedekassi, I lead strategic partnerships here at ThoughtSpot and have been in the BI industry for some time. I'll be aging myself when I say that the very first BI tool that I dealt with was one called Crystal Reports. So did start way back when, but have really seen this journey, move from the delivery of BI as like a producer consumer type paradigm to what we're now doing at ThoughtSpot, which is really all around self-service, BI, and just answering your questions for your business as quickly as possible with the data that you have. So super excited, and I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to everyone today.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you, Hey, Michael and Chris. My name is Azmath Pasha. I'm the Chief Digital Officer here at Paradigm. So pretty much I'm responsible for the portfolio with end-to-end data management, advanced analytics, cloud, and advanced analytics with BI modernization. So as Michael mentioned, I too have battle scars working on Crystal Reports about 2 decades ago, which was part of Seagate software. And we are here today with ThoughtSpot and advanced analytics, and it's how it's trending is just is amazing to be part of this journey. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'm excited to have you both with me here today to talk through these thought-leading components, especially around self-service and enabling the business. Our first topic, well, before I jump into our first topic, everybody, there is a Q&A area out there. If you click that button and you want to ask questions, please ask questions. We'll answer them along the way and at the end. Our session should last probably between 30 to 45 minutes, just to give you a time frame, and we'll definitely dig into some next steps and ideas for where you can take this forward. But let's dig into our first topic. What is trending in advanced analytics? Business intelligence is the holy grail for every enterprise, especially self-service. The challenge, with legacy tools, dashboards, spreadsheets, is that you can't ask ad hoc questions, which drives the question, are dashboards dead? Michael, you're an expert here. What are you seeing as the challenges business teams are facing in self-service and intelligence and AI?
Yeah, it's a great question. I like to kind of start it off with, if you look at yourselves internally, and if you're using dashboards today, how many of you have reports that you say you built 3 months ago that are obsolete today? And the answer to that question is growing and growing. We are just seeing this move from the ability to having a business question and then having to go to a different group or a different user to build a dashboard that answers that question. It's just taking organizations too long. And I would be classed as a business user. I'm fairly data savvy, but I don't have the ability to understand what data sets to hit, how to code in SQL, You know, my time in my past really never caught me up with that. So the idea that I might run across a business question and I can't get the answer to that, or I have to go to somebody who's built a dashboard and ask them to add that piece to the dashboard, just doesn't cut it today. And, you know, what we found is that, you know, as we're all experiencing the changes with COVID, that's forever changed the importance of data with us. And it's changed the way that companies look at the value of their data. You know, every single department across the industry has seen this change. And, you know, we had a customer who I like to quote from Western Union, the CDO. I'm going to, you know, muddle his name a little bit, but it's Thomas Mazzaferro. He said, right now, the pace of change will be the slowest pace that you see for the rest of your career. So when you ask me if dashboards are dead, you know, my answer is, if you have to wait to get somebody else to help you answer your business problem, you know, for something that you're trying to do within your business, you're just waiting too long. And either your competitors are going to get there ahead of you, or you're going to lose the advantage of the business question you're trying to ask. Hi, Christopher. I can't hear you. I think you're on mute.
The dreaded mute button. Thank you. I was trying to keep the background noise down for you. Hey, Asmath, I know you're deeply involved in this, especially with the technical team supporting the business and you know, deriving those, you know, quick informational insights. What are the challenges you're seeing in these areas?
Thank you, Chris. Any company that wants to make any impactful change, whether that's decreasing cost or risk, increasing revenue, creating innovative new products, or even making employees and their organizations more efficient overall, are looking today to move away from traditional dashboards. Automatically, they're trying to look at analytics tasks, which are more AI infused, maximize their cloud data warehouse investments. So doing all this, they're trying to get away from the dirty data dilemma. And from the technology folks who are in the trenches who are doing this type of work, their challenges are different. Their challenges are having the inability to use all available data and drill infinitely down across data sets. That slows analysis down by forcing them to go back to the data warehouse to get the next answer or custom blend data from external sources. In most cases, traditional BI tools will require you to inject a middleware between the cloud data warehouse and your insights and analytics tools to optimize performance or get insights out to the business users. This creates more cost, more of the data blot, and more overhead to both manage and secure. Just like on-prem data warehouses require upfront infrastructure and maintenance costs, there is a lot of dependencies on how to manage that from a traditional dashboarding with the ETL tools. And then one key thing that we always hear this from our practitioners is stakeholder guidance, not having all stakeholders, all the requirements baked in beforehand, going into doing the self-service analytics or taking dashboarding beyond what is capable. That also is a challenge. What, Chris?
No, that's great. Thank you, Asmath and Michael. I mean, the two key things I took away from that was obviously that great quote from the Western Union CIO, right? That this is the slowest pace of change that we'll see forever. And you know, overall, reports are no longer 3 months ago. Reports are now dated, right? We need things in real time. We don't need to go ask other people. We need them now and today. And Asmath, from your component, the technical side, as you were discussing, there's so many disparate places where this data is, on-premise, off-premise, variety of places. How do you bring that together? But how do you also get that stakeholder guidance so that you're giving them access to the right stuff? So excellent points, gentlemen. Thank you very much. You know, let's go to our next topic. Our next topic, and I'm also going to share a use case with you as well. Our next topic is understanding the need and business drivers for automated business analysis. You know, in recent years, the amount of information organizations collect and have access to and analyze has exploded. The growth has been exponential. To address this information explosion, organizations are spending more time on business intelligence tools and trying to visualize that enormous amounts of data they currently have. We were fortunate enough to work with a boutique bank, a good client of both of ours, and help enable them through a replatforming, utilizing things like Snowflake and the cloud, from the different disparate data that they had, and enabled them through ThoughtSpot, or enabled their finance team, as you can see through some of the quotes here, to really have an impact on their business. They were waiting 2 years for reports and dashboards. They no longer had to do that. They could do it automatically. So it's a real key thing of how do we take all that data and present it in a way. And I know that ThoughtSpot and Paradigm have done that pretty successfully. But maybe the two of you could speak on what successes or use cases and business drivers are you seeing folks capitalize on, but also what are they missing?
I can start and jump in on that. I echo kind of what you're saying, right? We've looked at reports from Harvard Business Reviews, right? And they've come up with incredibly high numbers. 86% of frontline workers, they want better technology to get insights. I mean, that's a huge number of business users like myself that are just unhappy with the way that they can get access to insights today. And then when you go up the chain to executives, Deloitte did a recent study as well, and they said 67, so like 2/3 of all executives aren't comfortable accessing or using data from their existing tools and resources. So, I mean, there is a huge problem to have there. And I think it just goes back to, like when you go and sit in front of your desk this morning, right? The first thing, do you want to open a dashboard, right? Do you want to look at what a dashboard tells you and then try to figure out what your business needs? Or do you want to sit down and just be able to ask a question? Just like you would when you're thinking something in your mind and you link into Google and search something in Google. Like, wouldn't that be a great way to start your day? Like, hey, I need to check if you're a sales leader. I need to check sales in the Northwestern region and how they're doing. And to just be able to type that in versus try to find it in a dashboard. Or if you're a retail executive and you want to look up, how a set of stores did. Just being able to type and drill down and do that yourself is hugely valuable. I know that there's some other examples you guys have seen in working with us and in implementing with partners.
Asmath, what are your thoughts?
Thank you, Michael. From a business intelligence tool standpoint, we know they can collect, curate the data into pie charts, graphics, and other visuals, right? And being able to visualize your data is a good first step, but it creates a need for an organization to then analyze the data that they see. And all the questions that we have answered in the past have always been KPI driven. How is our revenue performing? How is the region contributing towards our bottom line in this quarter? So business intelligence tools only report on the metrics we explicitly tell them to report upon. So there is no data analysis performed on data not explicitly specified, and hence they will never find insights you were not already looking for in the data. So the three things that we are seeing a trend change, which is going to be the trendsetter from taking the house questions to the what's, will be a comprehensive AI-driven insights, which means you're going to automate complex data analysis to uncover the root causes, understand key business drivers, compare your cohorts, and identify meaningful segments in your data. Then you'll have to instantly surface insights by doing blazing fast analysis across all your data, looking at the hidden gems that are there. There's all silos that are there, right? And then extract important findings by analyzing billions of data points from multiple sources in seconds. And third is more AI ML for data analysts and business teams. Put advanced analysis into the hands of more people. Bring them together to power of the domain expertise and data science insights. By doing all this, I think we could answer the what's and find the golden needle in that haystack. How influential are, so what influences my marketing actions on my sales? What influences my competitors' actions having on my sales? What's driving my competitor sales? So now you're questioning from a traditional standpoint of hows, and now you have in the what's, and you have infused more automation, AI driven, and made it much more in the empowering your business users.
Yeah, I agree 100%. When you have a tool, that is already going in and looking at all this data, augmented analytics is key, right? I mean, you can get the data of, hey, sales in this area have gone up, 32%. But then the question is why, right? Like, it's great that sales have gone up in that particular question, but why have they gone up, right? And then the ability to have to manually slice and dice and figure that out on your own from even a business analyst level is very difficult to do. And so the augmented analytics piece in ThoughtSpot, that SpotIQ, it's the one where you can point to something and say, hey, this is higher than normal. What's the reason behind that? And then you'll have a tool that can kind of go in there and look at all the anomaly detection that's capable and try to help you understand, hey, you know what, there's a particular store that's outperforming the rest. Then you can dig into why is that store outperforming the rest? We've had customers use this, augmented analytics to figure out discrepancies and anomalies in their data all the time, and it gives them insights. We had a travel agent, we had a business who saved a bunch of expenses on travel because they used SpotIQ to understand that one of their policies was allowing their team to actually book first class tickets depending on a travel window, and they were able to see why expenses were so high in one area. If you asked an analyst to kind of track that down on their own, it would be very difficult for them to visualize that anomaly. But if you have something working for you in the background doing that, it becomes much more easy and much more valuable.
No, Michael, that's a really good point. We've seen it as well. We have worked with a large big box retailer, and they have supply chain challenge because they've got executives still looking at multi-tabular Excel documents, right? Instead of looking at that view, whether it be ThoughtSpot or something else, to really get that vision as to where in the supply chain, in the perfect order index, let's call it, where are they? And you guys bring up some really good points. I mean, your quote about 67% of execs not being satisfied with their their capabilities to dig into the analytics and things, just like I was describing our supply chain 360 solution. That's a great example of that with the big box retailer. The 86% of frontline workers who want access but don't have access and have to wait for somebody to provide them, from up high with a little document, right, to a dashboard. But the key thing, really, I think you guys really hit on was the automation, augmentation with other data sources, and freeing people up to get those things. So really, really good points. Hey, let's jump to our next topic. What are the business imperatives for becoming an intelligent organization? How does an organization transition to meet the intelligence through self-service BI with AI? How do folks make this evolutionary change, and what are folks missing as they make that transition? Asmath?
Yeah, great question, Chris. I mean, I think that can be answered by looking at who we are trying to satisfy: the business users, the analysts, the data science, and the consumers, right, in general. So the consumers are typically the ones who are utilizing the dashboard and metrics. So they're basically business users, and they're analysts and data scientists. So for business users, the natural language search is going to be very, very important. They can do ad hoc querying using plain language, smart suggestions, recommendations, searches, metadata, filtering, comparisons, and instant visualization. Now you're looking at the analysts who are going to be doing more of the automation driven discovery of insights, right? So this is where they will uncover relationships and spot the trends automatically with embedded machine learnings. And they can learn why performance has changed and what's driving the business outcomes, discover the hidden drivers, segmentation, trends, and anomalies, and work with, on the visualization end as well. Now, the data scientist folks are going to be working on the auto ML, which is the automated machine learning, where they will be looking at building automation and operationalizing the predictive models, right? So where we will create and evaluate models automatically or by point and click configurations, which ThoughtSpot offers, operationalize models through shared visualization, through Pinpoint, which ThoughtSpot has, and predict APIs, and train these models along the time on schedule basis with auto data pipelines, right? So this also builds a very efficient citizen data scientist practice within the organization. So, Michael?
Yeah, great point. And one of the things that appreciate about ThoughtSpot, and part of my role here is that, we help tie that whole ecosystem together, right? So as you mentioned, many different, technologies, partners there. So if you think ThoughtSpot lies in the middle, we can connect to your applications, right, that leave data in a cloud data warehouse. So we work with all our cloud data warehouse partners to make sure that we've got, a scalable and strong connection to the data that your applications are feeding. And this could range from your company apps to productivity apps like, Slack that organizations use, to, the very popular SaaS apps like Salesforce and Adobe and others. And so our ability to kind of connect and interact with those and even create your own ThoughtSpot application can help drive this transformation from, kind of like the older tools that sit out there or doing things in a fragmented manner to kind of a best of breed interoperable solution that runs on the web, accessing cloud data, working with our partners on the cloud data warehouse side, and then also working with our data science partners. As you mentioned, AI ML is becoming a huge focus for even, the business analyst. And so the ability to, work with the data robots and the data IQs of the world to take advantage of those machine learning models that they create, these results for, whether it's scoring of data or grading of data, we can take that advantage of that because it all gets stored in a modern cloud data warehouse or data lake. And once that's done, we can access to it and really share those insights with the customers. So, part of it is just tying into this whole ecosystem that drives this digital transformation and making sure you're doing it with, a modern platform like ThoughtSpot.
Really good points, guys. I mean, the whole, as Matthew, we introduced the concept, hey, let's make sure that the right person's getting the right data. A lot of people using natural language processing for some of those business users, especially C-level folks, right? They're not going to always dig into each piece of data. And Michael, your comment about the ability for ThoughtSpot to create almost an abstraction layer across a lot of technical debt or old technologies and across new technologies to bring all of that together to present that and give people thoughts and ideas, enable or expand and enable business users. I notice we're getting some good questions. Let me jump into one of the questions. The first question I think we can talk about now. The second question we'll talk about in two topics. But how do you think AI drives an IoT infrastructure? Are there any gaps in the present timeline or the near past? So how do you think AI drives into what we're discussing here? When you're enabling an organization to help with these business imperatives, to help with this, being able to see the data that's out there, to help them to be able to make sense of this data and make the right search-driven analytics decisions. How does IoT kind of fall into there? Yeah. What are your thoughts, guys?
So I can answer, Michael. I can take the question. So
sure, yeah, I can provide some feedback as well if needed.
Yeah, so I'm going to answer that question in two parts, right? You have to look at AI as a whole, right? So artificial intelligence stands to make the most significant impact on the global economy, about $15.7 trillion to the economy, right? That's what we're looking at, and that's what the predictions have been. In analytics alone, AI is expected to create nearly $6 trillion in revenue. Now, the question is, AI, how is it going to influence IoT? Right? We should also look at why AI is influencing BI, right? So similar impacts like how we are seeing, for example, what do data professionals need to know to stay ahead of the curve? Yes, you're going to have more automated discovery of insights, natural language processing. There's going to be more of that. You're going to modernize your cloud data platform. All that modernization is taking place. But at the root of all the stuff, the data that is going to be collected is actually coming from your source layer, where there's a lot of this edge network, IoT devices that are sitting there. And that's also basically harnessing and curating data coming from the source side, right? So there is a bit of automation that is going on. There are companies and products that are doing that. And we have partnerships with the companies like DataMuse to try to understand that. And we are also looking at how that AI will basically, we can leverage the commonality, right? The question that is like, how do you automate your data discovery is going to start off from your source, And that's also going to be at your consumption level. So Michael, I will pause here. What's your thoughts, Michael?
Often, like as you said, AI is a very complex topic, and it ranges everything from machine learning models to augmented analytics. And often when people hear like IoT and AI, they think, how does that affect me? But it ranges very easily across everybody's usage. And one example is a cell phone, right? I've worked in the past with telco companies who use IoT edge devices to understand how many times a customer's cell phone is going out of service, and then linking that to their customer service team, so that when the customer calls with a complaint, the customer service team can use some AI and that IoT technology to give a grade on whether they think that customer is going to churn to a competitor because their phone has gone out of service too often. So as you can see, like IoT and AI ranges a broad focus off many consumer customers, many business problems. And they are working on it, but as mentioned, this is going to become a bigger and bigger industry and more important focus as time goes forward.
Gentlemen, great points. IoT is definitely a key core integration point for all of this visualization, understanding of what this business intelligence is, and you guys really put it nicely together. Hey, let's jump to a next topic, and that's ThoughtSpot. From a ThougSpot perspective, who should use a self-service analytics tool? How does ThoughtSpot drive new ways of thinking of self-service analytics? Michael, can you give us some thoughts there?
Sure. I mean, selfishly, I'd love to say everyone, but realistically, when you look at what ThoughtSpot does, we really cater to the business user. So like true self-service, someone who doesn't know how to architect a dashboard, doesn't know how to write in SQL, literally someone who wants to answer questions like you see under our technology there, just like you would use Google. Additionally, we are very strong also with executives. So, the C-level folks, the VP level folks that have business questions that they want answered, that they want to be able to stream that data down. We do very well with business users and the executive team. When you look at our customers around that, we really focus on enterprise and mid-market. We've really expanded our commercial offering with ThoughtSpot Cloud. Now you can get up and running on ThoughtSpot, within minutes. And, we're very strong in financial services and the retail industry as well.
Fantastic. Thanks, Michael. You guys have done a phenomenal job. Let me shift a little bit over to making a successful move towards AI-driven self-service analytics. Azmat, how does Paradigm orchestrate transforming companies into intelligent enterprises?
So, great question, Chris. So we at Paradigm know the market pulse very well. We have worked with several BI providers, Tableau, Click, Power BI, today with ThoughtSpot. Of course, it's not more BI, but it's more advanced analytics. So we have offered extensive capabilities for our analysts and developers. However, we see a self-service gap inherent in the data consumption ecosystems that can be solved by ThoughtSpot. We want to make sure to bring the full power of our partnership and collective real-world experience having implemented ThoughtSpot through our digital intelligence capability offering. So I'm going to break down that question to two parts, right? One is business value, and second is speed to implement. And how do we do it? By means of making it possible for anyone to use search and AI to find the hidden insights. So for business people, instant insights for all, empower business users by making them stop waiting for customer reports from data experts and instantly answer ad hoc data questions on the fly. Data leaders, they should be able to unleash the value of the data that is there, whether it's on-prem or cloud, maximize the value of your cloud data warehouse, and accelerate speed to insight. Product builders, not to worry on the data app side, but focus more on addressing their customers and the customer journey. And the data analysts, they have to say bye-bye to the backlog, empower more technical people in trying to address the questions from the single source of truth that they have. So that's driving the business value. From speed to implement, Paradigm's digital practice team tested our comprehensive cloud reference architecture coupled with Snowflake using medium and large data sets that were simulated from performance limitations experienced with other traditional BI platforms. After data was pulled from Snowflake, we used ThoughtSpot's query engine to pull quality data and enable instant insights with no hiccups to performance. While running on advanced data search, ThoughtSpot's technology auto-generated a visual that best matched the underlying data with enhanced capability. And the version of dashboard that we got was pretty phenomenal. So we ran these successful simulations with natural language querying with ThoughtSpot's AI feature called SpotIQ that Michael mentioned earlier. And this helped us drive useful insights in our proof of concept. So we also added new data, introduced anomalies, and we saw much more performance and all that. So basically, with our digital intelligence offering, Paradigm and ThoughtSpot partnership, I think we will be able to address the customer base, navigating a complex data landscape, modernizing their data footprint. We'll also help our customers grow faster, stay protected, and spark analytics innovation. That's the power of Paradigm.
No, that's great. Thank you, Asmath. And the Power Paradigm has impacted that for even that customer we identified before, that boutique bank, which had a great impact on them with turning those intelligence capabilities into a real-time function. Hey, gentlemen, we have a couple of questions out there. Let me jump into those. First one is, what's your vision on how much manual effort will be required for AI to dig into data, creating visualizations, or providing analysis? So one of two of you want to jump into that, Michael?
Yeah, I can jump in. I can talk about that. I mean, not to be repetitive, but Asmath mentioned it as well. Our SpotIQ tool does exactly that, and it does it from an anomaly detection point of view, right? So it's, say you're seeing something in the data that you're searching for, and what you're seeing in the data doesn't make sense to you, or it's something that sticks out. You want to understand why. And, to do that practically, you would, exactly what you said, you would have to dig through the data, look and see, where this, I don't want to say anomaly, but look at where this outlier is, right? And so taking advantage of ThoughtSpot, like quite literally allow you to highlight, say you asked a question, you got back some data, you can highlight the row of that data and say, can I do a SpotIQ analysis? And in the background, ThoughtSpot will run a SpotIQ analysis, and it's doing that AI piece for you. And it will then come back with the result that will say, hey, this is the anomaly that we've seen, and this is why you're seeing a hiccup in the data that looks that way. So for augmented analytics, 100%, we have the ability to do that very automatically. I would say if you have a business question around a very specific business problem where you need to actually build a machine learning model, that takes a little bit more effort. But as a business analyst, augmented analytics and anomaly detection, SpotIQ would be the tool that could help you do that.
Michael, to add, and there's other features in the ThoughtSpot ecosystem. Embrace. With Embrace, you can perform live queries on external databases, whether it is Google, BigQuery, Amazon Redshift, Microsoft Azure, or Snowflake, right? And plus, the power of ThoughtSpot is through the REST APIs. You provide multi-tenancy to users and analysts, which is basically you're able to provide send and receive data through JSON format, which pretty much I don't see any other tool can offer that. And the last piece is the Search IQ, which basically takes the question and makes the reports visual, right? So that's all automation. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So that automation really drives and reduces that manual effort to almost nothing, and really provides all of that value. That's fantastic. By the way, we have a number of other questions. I don't know if we're going to get to them all, but let me just hit a couple of them. One of them was, my team uses ServiceNow extensively, but it's hard to cross-correlate that information with their sources with other sources to get real intelligence. Have you guys come across a similar challenge, or how does ThoughtSpot and Paradigm work with some ServiceNow components?
Asmath, you want to jump in?
I can take it. So about a couple of years ago, we did this typical challenge we had with a managed services engagement where the customer has ServiceNow backlog and they have these reporting challenges, right? So pretty much it comes down to what type of model, operating model that you're going to profess to the customer. So the model was very simple. Try to build an analytic COE, right, to understand that backlog of requests coming in. And then we build a competency framework, right? Because what happens is your CFO organizations, they're always going to be hungry for data. They're going to come after you for data, and the reports. So with ThoughtSpot, what happens is, as I mentioned earlier about the Embrace product, once you use Embrace, once you have pulled all the data and the data is available through your data lake, you're basically given the empowerment back to the business user to go build the reports pretty fast, right? Not building from a technology development standpoint, more of you search IQ and you can pretty much visualize the reports coming in. So that kind of reduces the backlog, because I also mentioned about how our data analysts are suffering from the product backlog of going and doing a lot of KTLO type work, keep the lights on, keep this reports going, and there are thousands of reports. So going forward with ThoughtSpot and with a lot of this automation, and if you have a great analytics COE model and a competency framework, you should be able to address all that. Michael?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just add, we have an incredibly powerful story with ServiceNow and Snowflake as well. And the story really came from Snowflake itself, who is also a customer. Sunny Betty, who's I believe is the CIO and CDO over there. He was the one that came on board and started using ThoughtSpot to really do his ServiceNow analysis with the data residing on Snowflake. And has talked about it publicly, and you know, he really sees like the benefit that you get from ThoughtSpot being able to dive into that data and look at that data over what is offered out of the box is hugely valuable. So I agree with everything you say, and we've got a great kind of you know, cheerleader with the CIO at Snowflake.
Oh, that's fantastic. You know, it's great to see that, and I'm sure that from the person who asked the question, it's great to see how, you know, ThoughtSpot has just enabled so many different technologies, and ServiceNow isn't one someone would normally think of. They just be kind of stuck in their ServiceNow dashboards, and seeing you guys and seeing what we were able to do for that managed services company that Asmath referred to, seeing that the enablement really is impressive, and really enables other parts of the organization besides the people who just look at that on a daily basis. And one of the other key questions, I think probably our last question, I'm going to leave the other ones and we'll address them via email because we're really running out of time. But you know, one of the questions is, how does ThoughtSpot work with how is ThoughtSpot complementary, or how is ThoughtSpot a replacement for my current BI tool?
Yeah, so we have many organizations that we work with where we work alongside their BI tools, right? You know, not all organizations are going to just declare that dashboards are dead or that reporting just isn't useful. We do understand that. So in a lot of cases, what's happening is there's a backlog, right? And so, you know, the traditional reporting tools and dashboarding tools that we'll use, they're going to start getting a bunch of business users that are continually pinging IT and the BI team saying, hey, I need a change to this report, or I need a report for this, I need a report for that. And then organizations sometimes take a step back and say, listen, do we invest more resources in kind of this producer and consumer model, or for this set of groups, which tends to be, you know, business analysts and business users, do we provide them with a better self-service tool so they can answer their questions, and, you know, whatever's living there right now can continue to work without this backlog? And so, yeah, the answer to the question is yes. We live side by side with other BI tools in many different organizations. And then as we grow and business users get more access, you know, organizations can decide who needs self-service and who gets serviced by a report or a dashboard.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks, Michael. Well, hey guys, let's wrap it up. We've covered a lot of great topics here today. We've talked about, you know, what's trending in advanced analytics, understanding the need for business drivers and automated business analysis. You know, what are the business imperatives for becoming that intelligent organization? How do you enable that through ThoughtSpot? How does Paradigm help you with that journey, and not only the road mapping, et cetera, but let's talk a little bit about, you know, how people can take advantage of what's out there that the two of us offer, or the two organizations offer, to really impact them. A couple of those things are, one is try a free ThoughtSpot trial. I don't know if Nicola were able to put that, but you can check the chat session. You can find a link to that free trial. ThoughtSpot is really simple to use, very easy to stand up. We enable that, Paradigm enables that, and helping the organization understand where they are in a maturity component. So how do we help you do a maturity assessment? How do we help you put together the roadmap using our best practices to put that roadmap together to take the best use of it, similar to the bank we identified, the boutique bank we identified before in the use case. And then what is the business impact workshop? How do you work with business to really show what the impact is and use the power of Paradigm, in which we every day try to identify what is the business impact that we're having, whether it be helping them make money, save money, or reduce risk. So I thank you, gentlemen, both for your insights. You guys are incredible, definitely champions in your industries and very thought leading. Folks, you'll also find this webinar. We'll be posting it to our YouTube channel, and you'll see some other places where you can access this if you want to go back and take a look at some more things. Before I close out, Azmath, any last comments?
Again, thank you, Michael, and thank you, Chris. This has been a great session, and we're looking forward for this partnership, taking our digital intelligence offering with ThoughtSpot for our customers. And please feel free to fire any Q&A after this webinar. We'll be happy to address them. Thank you.
Thanks, Azmath. Michael?
I just want to say thank you as well. And you know what, everyone, as easy as I make ThoughtSpot sound to use and get up and running, there's a huge benefit in working with Paradigm to do a maturity assessment, a business impact workshop, because this type of change in an organization, while it's easy to use, you can always use help in shifting your organization's focus from kind of the older way of doing things to this more modern search-based analytics. So I encourage you guys to work with Paradigm. I appreciate the opportunity, and thanks everyone for tuning into this session.
Excellent. Thank you, gentlemen. I again appreciate your time. Audience, thank you very much for joining us for Data Speaks. Look forward to our next Data Speaks webinar, where we'll examine some more topics that are very germane to your day-to-day execution. Thank you.